My so-called best friend has been privately telling my family he's still in love with me and urging them to pressure me into divorcing my husband, all while living with his girlfriend, whom he's secretly grooming to look exactly like me, as part of his twisted plan to replace me. I guess I should start with a bit of context and an obligatory apology. This post is going to be long, but I'll try to keep it as brief as I can. So, I'm a 28-year-old woman, and I've been friends with Blake, who's 28 as well, for about 10 years now. We met when I was traveling for a new job out of state, and I swear, we hit it off immediately. In the week that I was there, we just clicked. We had the same interests, the same vibe, and the conversation flowed so easily. We were inseparable during that time. After almost 2 years of friendship, we tried dating. It lasted 3 months, and looking back, it wasn't great. Blake had some unresolved issues from past relationships, and he didn't treat me well. Before I had the chance to end things, he called it off because he had feelings for someone else. Fine by me. We were better off as friends anyway. I took some time for myself because, honestly, he hadn't been treating me the best. He got into therapy and genuinely apologized for his behavior, saying he wanted to work on himself and our friendship. Over the next 8 years, he proved he was committed to that, and we went back to being the best of friends. Fast forward to now. I'm happily married to my wonderful husband, Cam, who's 28 as well. We've been together for 6 years and married for 2. Blake and I are still best friends. After our brief dating stint, Blake broke up with his ex and ended up with a fantastic woman named Kay, who's 21. They've been together for almost 2 years now, starting to date a few months before my wedding. This is important because Kay and I get along really well. She's sweet and easy to talk to. Blake moved to the same city as me after his mom passed away. He wanted to be closer to his support network, and about 9 months ago, Kay moved in with him. In the last 6 months, though, things between Blake and me have started to feel a little strained. Cam is very introverted, and Blake started expressing frustration about not being able to get closer to him. He also felt like he was bothering Cam whenever he tried. Blake and I started having small issues, too, little passive-aggressive comments here and there. It all came to a head 3 months ago when Cam and I went over to Blake's place for a game night to celebrate his birthday. Blake picked some weird fights with me about my career path, saying things like, "I guess if you want to stunt your life, go for it." Cam and I were both taken off guard by that, and after a few attempts to shut it down, we made excuses and left. Later, Blake sent me a text asking if I was okay because the vibes felt off. I explained what had bothered me, and he responded with an email. Yes, an email. 8 long paragraphs, saying he felt dismissed during our conversation, like he was ganged up on when Cam defended me. He also said that he couldn't trust me because I tell Cam everything, which isn't true. I always ask Cam before I share anything personal unless it's something major. The email ended with him saying he thought I was too codependent on Cam since I always called to check in when Blake and I hung out, to see if it was okay to pick up food, etc. He was clearly upset, and I was confused. I tried to clarify things, but no matter how many times I responded, we kept going in circles. He demanded that we not meet up until we resolved everything, and this dragged on for about 2 weeks. Around that time, I started therapy because this whole situation was really messing with my head. I started questioning if I was the problem. Then, about a month ago, I broke down to my sister and let her read the emails. She was furious on my behalf and then dropped a bombshell on me. Blake is apparently still in love with me, and not just that, he can't stand Cam. Apparently, when she drove to pick up Blake for my wedding, he confided in her and her husband that he didn't agree with the wedding and wished I would break up with Cam because he thought we were soulmates and that Cam wasn't right for me. This is insane considering I've always talked about how happy Cam makes me and how safe and loved I feel with him. My sister shut him down, but Blake kept it up when she drove him back after the wedding. He said he just needed some time to process everything. A year ago, Blake moved near me and Kay moved in shortly after. Since then, the tension's gotten worse. Just recently, I found out some odd things. Kay got a double nose piercing and a septum piercing, which Blake encouraged her to do because he thought she'd look cute. This really caught me off guard because he took me to get the same piercings as a post-wedding gift. There's also the fact that Blake has an issue with the month of August for some reason. He and Kay decided their anniversary would be in October instead, claiming it's because it's spooky month. But Cam and I started dating and got married in August. To add more fuel to the fire, I went back to check when Blake and I broke up. It was in August 2017, which makes me feel like it can't be a coincidence. Also, Blake had a previous relationship fall apart because the girl was convinced that he and I were secretly together, to the point where she was calling me a homewrecker. Cam and I always thought it was just her insecurity, but now I'm wondering if there was more to it. I'm starting to wonder if she was just watching Blake carry on some strange, one-sided emotional affair. I love my husband more than anything, and he makes me happier than anyone else ever has. He's my best friend. But learning all of this has made me feel awful, like I've failed as a wife. Cam has been incredibly supportive and doesn't blame me at all, though. So, after thinking it over, I've decided to end my friendship with Blake, but I don't even know how to begin. I feel like I need to tell Kay since this all happened while they were together, and they've been living together. Kay deserves to know the truth, but the problem is I don't really have solid proof, just spoken accounts and the weird emails. It feels like a conspiracy theory or something straight out of a soap opera. My therapist is on vacation, so I'm pretty much handling this on my own. What I'm realizing now is how manipulative Blake has been for years, and it's making me feel sick. Knowing all of this makes it even harder to face him, especially with my confrontation anxiety, which he's fully aware of and could easily exploit. I'm starting to see how much control he's tried to have over me. I've overlooked his anxiety issues for so long. The fact that he lives so close now makes me dread seeing him instead of feeling happy. I just want to move forward without any regrets, knowing I stood up for myself and put an end to this. I want Blake to understand that his actions and creepy ulterior motives are the reason our decade-long friendship is over. I've never ended a friendship like this before. Plus, I'm more of an introvert, so this feels like a friend breakup on steroids. How do I tell Kay about all of this in a way that sounds remotely believable, considering the facade Blake has built up? Also, how do I even approach telling Blake that I know everything and that we're completely done? I'm working right now, so I won't be responding to other comments until later, but I wanted to clarify a few things. First, there was no sexual relationship between Blake and me. We didn't sleep together. This was a brief 3-month relationship, and the most we ever did was kiss a couple of times during visits, given the long distance. This was 8 years ago. Secondly, Blake's not the only friend I've briefly dated. I'm still in touch with another ex, Kim, who I dated for about 6 months in college. She and I are really close, and Cam and I are actually godparents to her child. We're both very secure in our relationship, and it doesn't bother us at all that I'm still friends with people I've dated. For us, friendships aren't defined by gender. Third, my sister and I have talked about all of this. I didn't think it was necessary to mention before, but I let her know how upset I was that she kept all of this from me. She apologized, and she recognizes she messed up. She also has severe anxiety and thought everything was resolved until Blake reached out to her husband again, and that's when she decided to tell me. She was going through a lot at the time. We've been working through this separately. As for the restraining order situation, getting one isn't easy, but I will if I need to. For now, though, I don't think it's necessary to jump straight to that. The cop scare tactic is definitely something I'm keeping in my back pocket for if it comes to that. Thanks for the suggestion. As for your opinions on my marriage, I didn't come here to ask for advice about that. My husband has been nothing but supportive through all of this, and he's made it very clear that he's mad at Blake, not me. He knows I only have eyes for him, and he's never doubted that, even after everything that's come to light. So, feel free to think what you want about me or my marriage, but I just wanted to clarify that. The reason I felt like a terrible wife is because I've been so blind to everything, especially given how cliché this all sounds. But regardless, I know my marriage is solid, and I haven't betrayed anyone. Update. April 24th, 2025, so I didn't expect to be writing an update. Honestly, my original post blew up way more than I ever anticipated. Usually, I post here and get a handful of thoughtful comments before my post fades into obscurity. But this was different. I'm incredibly grateful for all the support and advice I've received. Some of the comments were so helpful, and I can't thank you all enough. I ended up deleting my original post to protect my peace. It became a little overwhelming, with 500,000 views on one of the most surreal moments of my life. Plus, there were so many specific details in my post that could easily identify me if someone who knows me personally came across it. Now that that's out of the way, here's my update. I decided to talk to Kay after all. I asked her to meet me for coffee, and then I told her everything I knew. She was very understanding and even held my hand when she saw me shaking. She thanked me for being honest with her. In the end, she's decided to stay with Blake for now, but is keeping what I said in mind. She's decided she still wants to stay friends with me and fully understands why I can't be around Blake anymore. She also agreed not to share any of my personal info with him, and we're going to keep some distance for a bit. Now, I know some of you might get upset with me, but I ended up confronting Blake in person. I wanted to clear the air right after talking to Kay, and I figured meeting up in person under the guise of talking things through would be the easiest way to do that. My husband came with me, but it was just me and Blake talking. I took some precautions, including secretly recording the conversation. Blake started with classic Darvo, deny, attack, reverse victim and offender, saying he didn't remember telling my sister anything, but then he slowly started recalling things, though he twisted them into different contexts. He even tried to flip the blame back on me a few times. I shut down all the excuses and justifications he tried to offer and firmly made my point. Regardless of his intent or reasoning, his actions were completely inappropriate and inexcusable. After breaking down enough of his excuses, he actually apologized several times, admitting his wrongs. Whether he meant those apologies or not, I don't know, and frankly, I don't care. It was somewhat cathartic, though. He insists that everything with Kay was purely coincidental, but honestly, that's between them now. The conversation ended with him saying he didn't want to lose our friendship and that he was willing to take a break to establish firmer boundaries, claiming he was in a better place to be more honest. He said now that he was aware of the issue, he'd make more of an effort to respect my boundaries. I shut him down, saying that the ship had sailed long ago and it shouldn't have taken me saying I was done for him to put effort into respecting me. He then said he'd respect my decision to end the friendship, but begged me to at least keep an open mind for potential future reconciliation. By that point, I was pretty much done. I told him outright that these were the consequences of his actions and that I could never trust anything he said or did again. Even in some alternate universe where I might be open to reconciliation, he would be nothing more than an acquaintance. He would never, ever be my best friend or even a close friend again. He went quiet and teared up, probably because he knew things were wrapping up. I stood up and he asked for one last hug. I said no, extended my hand for a shake, and walked away without looking back. Honestly, it felt a little badass. Until I got around the corner, then the panic attack I'd been avoiding all day hit me. Win some, lose some. Overall, I think it went about as well as it could. I'm not letting my guard down, but at least it feels like it's finally over. I'm not doing great right now, but I know I'll be okay. Kem helped me realize I'm mourning the loss of a decade-long friendship. Blake might not be dead, but the Blake I knew is. So, I'm trying to give myself some grace as I process all of this. Kem decided tonight's for tacos, cake, and video games, just some dopamine to help us through it. We're both calling into work tomorrow after the chaos. Thanks again to everyone who offered kindness and support on my last post. I honestly don't think I would have had the confidence or composure today without all of you. May your pillow always be cool, your food always be at the perfect temperature, and your life be full of joy and peace. On to the next story. Stepson uninvited me from his wedding after his bio mom offered to pay for it, and now he's crying because his siblings are refusing to attend unless I come. For context, I've been married to my husband for just over 20 years. We started dating when my stepkids were 5 and 3. Our kids are Adam, 28, stepkid number 1, Ben, 26, stepkid number 2, Charles, 20, David, 17, and Ellie, 13. Adam is getting married at the end of summer to his fiancée, Alice, 27. We're all really excited for them, and all the kids have roles in the wedding. Charles is the best man, the other 2 boys are groomsmen, and Ellie is a junior bridesmaid. Last weekend, we had a dinner for my husband's birthday, and all the kids attended, along with Alice. The topic of the wedding came up again, and that's when things started to go downhill. Ellie brought up how excited she was to go dress shopping, saying we were planning a trip to a bigger city soon to get her a dress, and to find me a stepmom of the groom dress. At that, Alice looked at Adam like he'd said something wrong and responded that we only needed to worry about one dress Ellie's. Ellie laughed and said, "What, are you expecting mom to wear a suit?" Alice replied, "My name isn't going on the invitation, you know. We're keeping the guest list very limited, only family and a few close friends." Now, Adam and Alice have both been to our house numerous times for holidays and dinners, just to hang out since they've been engaged. This never came up before. Things quickly escalated. Charles asked them to clarify whether they were uninviting me or if I was never invited in the first place. Alice confirmed the latter. Adam then said, "It's because I'm not his mom." Charles, David, and Ellie argued with them, saying it was cruel to leave me out after I'd been a parent to Adam for most of his life and loved him like my own. My husband and I just sat there, shocked. Adam turned to my husband and said, "Well, if she's not invited, then I'm not going either." Then he turned to me and asked if I was really going to let everyone ruin his wedding on my behalf. This is where I might have been the bad guy. I just laughed. I couldn't help it. The whole situation was so absurd. Laughing was the only thing I could do. I told my husband I'd be waiting in the car, and I left, then bawled my eyes out. Now Charles, David, and Ellie aren't talking to Adam. He called my husband yesterday, still insisting I'm not invited and that it's their wedding, so they can invite whoever they want. He also requested that I apologize for laughing at him. My husband told him it's tough. He said they can invite whoever they want, but they can't control who actually shows up. He said Adam owes me an apology and that Adam should be ashamed of himself. I'm getting texts now asking what I did and why I'm being a stepmonster and ruining the wedding. Some more context. I quit my job when Charles was 6 months old. Adam would have been about 8 or 9. There was no affair involved. I met my husband after his divorce, and if you ask their bio mom, she'll say I've always overstepped. If you ask her, she'll give examples like, I went to school events, and so did my stepdad. I helped with homework. I spent too much time with them. She'd thank me for loving her kids so much, then turn around and criticize my husband for me caring about kids who aren't even mine. Another example. In the beginning, she wanted to communicate with me directly more. She said she loved how easy it was to talk to me, that I was easier to deal with than my husband. The next time she argued with him, she said I was weird and too involved, and that she shouldn't have to talk to me at all. Since then, I haven't spoken to her. But occasionally, she still mentions that I'm easier to talk to and doesn't understand why everything has to go through my husband. After several years of trying to please her, we gave up and decided to focus on keeping our own family happy and supported. It's been 23 years now of dealing with her. I've gone to therapy multiple times to work through the issues she says I have. Therapy helped me develop strategies for handling her, but the reality is, she just has mental health issues. Her dad worked a lot, and his shifts were mostly at night. This has changed a bit over the years, but we've always had the stepkids on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and every other Monday. Those were his days off, so he could spend as much time with them as possible. But he usually worked 1 or 2 of those nights. It was rare for him to have OT on the days we had the kids, usually only on the days we didn't. We still try to go on dates when Ben isn't with us. I hope that clears up some questions. Update. April 23rd, 2025. Hey Reddit. I have an update. First, thank you to everyone who responded to my last post. Most of you were kind and offered great advice. I really appreciate it. Before I give the update, let me answer a few frequently asked questions. I'm not the affair partner. My husband didn't cheat on his ex-wife with me. We met about a year after they divorced, and she was already engaged, not to her current husband, just to clarify. Yes, Ben was at the dinner. He's autistic, and I went into more detail in some of my comments. He was upset. He didn't fully understand the argument, but he was mostly mad at Adam for saying I'm not their parent and at the siblings for fighting. Now, the update. If you guessed it was about Byam, you were right. I didn't want this to be the case, but here we are. Adam rescheduled with Charles for Monday, citing the Easter weekend, which is fair. He also texted my husband to let him know that he and Alice would be spending Easter with her parents. We expected that at some point on Sunday. Ellie texted Alice. I'm not sure what exactly was said, but it led Alice to spill everything going on with her parents. I've met them a few times, but they live a few hours away. They encouraged her and Adam to reach out to us and clear things up. Monday, we dropped Ben off at Byam's for Easter, and he stayed an extra night. A few hours later, she started blowing up my husband's phone. Ben had mentioned the fight. My husband answered one of the calls, and she was screaming, so he hung up. He texted her, saying that the siblings had argued, everything was fine, and that if Ben had any more questions, we'd talk when he's back with us. From some of the things she texted, we realized she was the root of all this. Later that day, Adam met up with Charles and came clean. Charles texted us, asking if it was okay for them to come over, and we said yes. I won't lie, Adam looked a mess. He immediately started crying and apologizing. To keep it short, he's been trying to fix things with Byam. Their wedding, which was supposed to be 60 people, has blown up to double that, and they've been struggling to figure out how to pay for it. At one of their visits, Alice let it slip, and Byam jumped in to help pay for things. It gradually snowballed from small requests to big ones. I'm not sure what the final straw was, but it ended with Byam asking that I not be there. Adam said it was easier to hurt me than risk a World War III with his mom. Alice's parents were less than happy when they found out how the wedding and budget were being handled, and even more upset about Byam's behavior. They're trying to figure out how to cover the payments Byam has made. We've decided to help out a bit with this. Adam also asked if we could meet again in a few days with Alice, and we agreed. There's still a lot to work through for this to be anywhere close to mended. I'm still hurt, but mostly, I'm angry on behalf of my oldest son. We've been going through this for so long now, and I've tried to keep things calm for the sake of our family. But it's been difficult. At this point, I'm exhausted, emotionally drained. The constant ups and downs, the back and forth with Byam, it's never ending. It always seems like every time we take one step forward, we're forced to take 2 steps back. I'm tired of putting in the effort, and I know my husband is too. We want to build a peaceful, supportive family environment, and it feels like everything we try is sabotaged. When we met with Adam and Alice a few days after their wedding fiasco, it was clear there was still a lot of tension. Adam, to his credit, was apologetic. He was genuinely remorseful, but at the same time, it felt like he was caught in the middle, torn between loyalty to his mom and his wife. Alice, on the other hand, had her own issues to deal with. The constant drama surrounding the wedding, the financial mess, and the manipulation, it was all wearing her down. What hit me hardest during our meeting was when Adam said he was afraid to stand up to Byam. He admitted that he was scared of the fallout if he did. He confessed that for years, he'd been walking on eggshells, trying to avoid her anger. And I could see it in his eyes, the guilt and the frustration of being stuck between his mom and his wife. It was heartbreaking. I wanted to tell him that he didn't have to be afraid of her anymore, that he was allowed to set boundaries and defend his family. But I also understood that breaking free from someone who has controlled you for so long is no easy task. It's a process. As for me, I've spent so much time trying to be the bigger person. I've put up with her criticism, her insults, her attempts to tear down everything I've built with my husband and my kids. I've gone to therapy, I've worked on myself, and I've tried to be understanding. But there's only so much I can take. I'm tired of being the punching bag. I'm tired of being the one who gets blamed for everything that goes wrong. And most of all, I'm tired of seeing my son, Ben, caught in the middle of it all. Ben is an amazing kid. He's smart, caring, and funny. He deserves to grow up in a home where he feels loved and supported, not in a constant state of emotional turmoil. The way Byam treated him, the way she tried to manipulate him into believing that he wasn't part of our family, it broke my heart. He's not just my son, he's part of this family, and I won't let anyone try to take that away from him. I've had several conversations with Ben over the years about what's been going on. He doesn't fully understand everything, but he knows enough to feel hurt by the constant fighting. He sees how his dad and I struggle to keep the peace, and it affects him. But I won't let that define him. I won't let this drama poison his view of family or make him feel like he's not important. Because he is. He always has been. Things have been quiet on Byam's end for a while now. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe she's giving us space to heal, or maybe she's plotting her next move. I honestly don't care anymore. We've tried, time and time again, to make things work with her, but it's clear that nothing will ever be good enough. She'll always find a way to criticize, manipulate, and control. So, I'm done. I'm done trying to make her like me. I'm done trying to win her approval. It's not worth it anymore. As for Adam, I know he's struggling. I see the toll it's taken on him. He wants to fix everything, but I don't know if he can. I can't change his relationship with his mom. All I can do is be there for him when he needs me and hope that, eventually, he'll find the strength to stand up for himself and for our family. I believe he can do it, but it's going to take time. We're still working through things, still trying to find our way. But for the first time in a long time, I'm focusing on what matters most, my family, my husband, and our kids. Everything else is secondary. We've spent too many years trying to please people who don't care about us, people who will never appreciate the effort we put in. It's time to put ourselves first, to protect our peace, and to create a future where we can be happy without the constant drama. I don't know what the future holds with Byam. Maybe she'll come around, maybe she won't. But I've realized that I can't control her actions, and I can't make her love me. What I can do is love my family, support them, and do my best to create a home where they feel safe, loved, and valued. That's all I need to focus on now. It's been a long road, but we're getting there. Slowly, but surely, we're building something stronger. And, for the first time in a long time, I feel like we're on the right track. The drama, the hurt, and the manipulation won't define us anymore. We will. And that, in the end, is all that matters.